How do we do? Welcome to another edition of X Feed. What's up? My name is The Shiller, talking about NFTs for quite a while. If you enjoy content, we have been doing a whole bunch of stuff regarding Futureverse and the Root Network, but if you go to the live feed on YouTube, you can see the streams we do every single day. We also do the RWA Segments podcast, so if you want to find out more stories and things that are happening within the RWA world, we'd love for you to check that out as well. Okay, so today we're going over some educational things. We're going to actually look at Top Shot, which is kind of insane to think about because we haven't looked at that in a hot minute. We're going to go over people that are not liking the AI agents, people, I guess like AI in general. We have, what else do we have? We have a little bit about Sony. We have some perspectives as per usual, a little bit of everything. Would love for you to sit back, relax, and just hang out as we go over all of the fun shenanigans that we do. Okay, so I can't remember if I highlighted this the other day, but I have mentioned that I've started getting into Marvel Rivals, right? Or sorry, excuse me. Let me move the webcam down a little bit. There we go. So Marvel Rivals, but then more specifically Marvel Unlimited, which is like the comic series. And so I've gone back and I've started reading some of the original editions of the comics from way back when. And I noticed today from somebody that was promoting the VV platform, which is like a Web3 comics, collectibles, a whole bunch of other stuff. There was somebody who was giving away a card that was based off of this original X-Men comic. And, you know, if you would have showed me this before I got into that and said, hey, this is, you know, like the original X-Men, I'd be like, okay, like, I guess that's cool, but I don't really care, right? For the most part. But then actually reading that, understanding, hey, this is kind of cool. Yes, it's historic, and actually, you know, educating myself on all that jazz. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And maybe I want that specific thing. So the point of this entire conversation, I guess, is you might write something off at first glance, but, you know, stick with it a little bit. You might be surprised what you will find down the road. And then there's also this perspective as well. I wrote an entire big thread about responding to this, and then I deleted it because I'm like, nobody cares. You can just say, nobody cares. Well, what the hell do we care? True. Okay, so I saw this post from Cobra, and let's ignore the context of this because this is more of a reply to what was going on with Other Side regarding them having the in-person clubhouse and doing things within Other Side. But their opening line is what I want to focus on, but we'll read the whole thing. With the rise of bots and AI agents, Twitter is becoming unusable, and we could replace Twitter with several other platforms, to be totally honest, but okay. By focusing on the club for both IRL and in Other Side, I think we'll have a fun and safe space to vibe again. Can't wait to see what they have planned for 2025 and beyond. So I tweeted out yesterday that it felt like the entire timeline for X was literally just videos. If you go and scroll through yours, I'm curious if you feel like it's the same thing. But for myself, I was like, damn, man, this is kind of annoying. Like every single thing, I'm trying to go on there and just have like the process of reading other people's thoughts and I always find that interesting, but it's just, you're just getting shoved all these videos, whether it's sports, whether it's entertainment, whether it's, you know, TMZ, all this kind of jazz, and it's only videos. And then you go to the replies of something and it's a mixture of AI bots and then another massive string of videos on top of that. And it's just, I don't know, it doesn't feel that great. And so the question is there going to be something in the future that is only for humans? I know that's a weird concept for many people, or you might say, hey, that totally makes sense. But what if that's something where it becomes overwhelming and using these platforms you don't like, or on these social media platforms, you have an option to then turn off any sort of like AI integration where I brought it before on YouTube. Now you'll be able to see that there's like a little sounder where, you know, if somebody had like a paid video, like if I got paid for a video, right, and I check mark that on my YouTube upload, it says in the top like promotional video or whatever it is. Now they're doing that for AI. But what is kind of the ripple effects that all of this is going to have? Very, very curious about that. Okay. $420 million liquidated from the cryptocurrency market in the past 12 hours. Now, this was yesterday. So if we go back to the charts here, it's kind of crazy that in 24 hours, we're actually up 3% because it felt like that was not going to be the case as we took a omega dumper and then we shot back up. So what does that mean? I have no idea, but we're always reminded that leverage is a dangerous game. So going back to the Marvel Rivals thing for a second, this is going to be more about the gaming industry as a whole, because we keep saying, you know, this year is going to be the year for blockchain gaming, right? We say that every single year. Yeah, it's neither here nor there. But Aoki, who's a League of Legends streamer, says Marvel Rivals just launched 33 heroes for free, including some of the world's most recognizable characters, which, of course, if you've ever watched the Marvel series, there's a whole bunch of them. They also committed to making every future hero completely free, no money or grind required. So that's really awesome. But then we go over to League of Legends, which is also a free game to begin with, but you either have to pay to unlock these various characters, because there's 170 of them, which is ridiculous to begin with, or play for almost 6 years to unlock all these champions. Now, we have different models, obviously, where you have subscriptions for certain games, where some games have battle passes, where some are, free and have these different, purchasing the characters in this kind of sense. But we just continually, all the time, get different comparisons and things where it's like, oh, maybe it wouldn't be bad to grind out for those 6 years for all these champions and extra things, but if I can't do anything with it, or if I lose this account, then it kind of feels bad. So I think there's going to be a huge awakening within the gamer front on all things. Again, Rivals isn't a blockchain game by any means. I'm just saying it feels like the gaming industry is starting to really change how they're doing things. And obviously every game is different. Listen, I don't ever really try to give like that much advice out here, but I absolutely love this piece from Miles. Don't invest on borrow conviction from me, another creator, a friend, or anyone for that matter. Develop your own thesis, scrutinize it, and stick to it unless something materially invalidates it. Otherwise, it get trampled during times of volatility. And that's something that I've really, really taken to heart over like the past year and a bit. It's like, I make decisions, I decide what I want, I like things. True. Don't listen to other people, but always, take things into account. With that being said, you got to have conviction in things. And I remember getting messaged regarding this a while ago. It's told that Canada doesn't have any gold reserves. And I was like, okay, why would I look into that in the first place? But it was like, holy smokes. So we used to have, what is this? That's 100,000. That's 100 million. That's $63 billion in gold reserves. But apparently we sold it all off in 2016. Now it's like, I'm obviously not a Canadian government or anything, but kind of crazy to see that the thought was, hey, we don't want to have our assets within gold, and kind of crazy to look back and think of nation states now starting to have a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Obviously different countries have, their gold reserve, asset reserves of any sort, but it is kind of crazy to see such a big bet earlier to then be like, yeah, no, thank you. And things going online. Listen, we got a new report. The cost to send mail in Canada starting to go up 25% on Monday, which was yesterday, I think. Actually, hold on. When was this? January 13th? I have no idea if this was this week or next. Anyway, that being said, listen, we love emails, right? True. Okay, so there was this video that was posted by the Wire Network. Now, we know this big, huge connection between Altered State Machine, the 6079, still trying to fully grasp all this stuff, but this is a video that kind of explains certain things, and I need to put this in a window that you guys can see properly. So let's kind of just go over this, because I've actually not watched it.
A new Bankless episode has been making the rounds, all about AI agents. And they're highlighting everything that they can do. One thing that they say halfway through that they can't do is interoperate across all chains. And they say that the problem with this is that it sandboxes them, and it makes it so that they can't actually transact themselves. The cool thing is we've solved that.
I think these agents are only going to proliferate within a sandbox environment for now. I don't think the rails are capable of entertaining AI agents in its full capacity just yet. It can't interact with every single smart contract. It can't deploy its own smart contracts just yet. It can't do cross-chain interactions yet. But we are going to get to a point probably within the next 3 to 5 years where that's definitely going to be the case.
Definitely.
And agents are going to be way smarter than they are right now.
The future is here now. If you've been paying attention all over Twitter, people are talking about agents. There are agents that are creating cult followings. There are agents that are launching tokens. There's even agents that are becoming millionaires. How do we think about this? What we have right now is we have agents that are almost like the meme coin of agents. There's not a lot of depth. There's not technical innovation, but they are great demos of what's possible. They're super interesting. And you're starting to see people get the vision for where this is going. And what's actually happening is, some of the teams like at Coinbase are starting to build some of the middleware. So Coinbase released their agent developer kit. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these agents, is that people are starting to take those tools and starting to say, what can I build with this? And initially they're able to build some, Twitter bots that can kind of talk with people in an interesting way. What happens though when we actually have full on-chain agents? Let me tell you what I mean by on-chain agents. That the agent itself is represented by a token that can hold its own wallet, that can launch its own token itself, that can interact with other agents. This is kind of like having an application that has its own mind, and can continuously improve. Next, we have on-chain transactions. So they brought this up in Bankless, actually. They said, like, hey, agents are probably only going to be working in a sandbox environment for a while, which was kind of their way of saying these are kind of like meme coins of agents today. But once we can actually have them interact interoperably at kind of like the low price point that you would need, like kind of like a Web 2 service, and across all chains, until you get to that point, these agents are going to be stuck. On-chain agents can do all those things. And then lastly, on-chain compute, actually doing on-chain inference so that these agents can know that the inputs that they're trying to get or the things they're trying to learn about or the thoughts they're trying to have are actually real, like that they can mathematically prove it in the same way that Bitcoin can prove that you own a Bitcoin. And so we need all three of those things. We need tokenized agents, we need cross-chain interactions, and we need on-chain interactions. And so this is what Think has been working on all this time. You know, it's only been about 9-10 months since we announced what we've been building. We've announced that everything's being built on Wire that solves this middle problem and helps us start to solve on-chain compute. And we're working with some of the biggest projects in the world on making sure that we have these tokenized on-chain agents ready. And you're gonna be pretty excited because, you know, we could move fast and we could create, you know, kind of like a meme coin agent cult, which I think is cool to watch, but what we're actually focused on is building this underlying agent economy, doing it fully decentralized and as a protocol so that we can actually see the AI agent economy grow from the ground up. And so we've got some great folks hard at work. I think we've got like 16 engineers total working on this, you know, every day, getting everything going. And you'll see us in a popular metaverse soon.
Yo, not bad, not bad. Yo, not bad, not bad. Eh? Kind of cool to see what is coming from that and working with the biggest and brightest, it sounds like, too. Justin Blackrock says, crypto has outpaced growth for mobile phones and the internet. Mobile phones and the internet being the best thing, or sorry, the biggest thing since, well, like anything, that bodes pretty well. That bodes pretty well. So listen, we've got these exchange listings that are still happening and always curious more about like the reception for them in different times. The Peanut token got listed on Coinbase and it moved 6.25%, which we've seen NFT projects announce, hey, we're doing a token and go higher than that. Now, not to discredit this whatsoever, but it is interesting. Does it mean that like Coinbase listings don't have as much of an impact as it previously did? Maybe. Okay, so this is kind of crazy. Artifact, we've announced we did an entire stream about them shutting down. And they didn't shut down. I guess they were having one final hurrah of some sort. So they were selling 3D printed shoes of all things. So you can see the Cyber Stomper, Bladed Dragon, the Codex Dunk, the Artifact Dunk. I mean, when I talk about like I'm a bit taller if I'm wearing my tall shoes, looking at these, like the heels on these things makes you look like you're probably going to be a lot taller. But for anybody that's interested, there you go. We got Artifact having another launch of shoes. AI XBT, we just talked or heard from somebody that was doing AI agents. For anybody that doesn't know, this is one of the AI agents that's gotten a ton of traction. As you can see that it says automated, like the YouTube videos that are now being highlighted as AI generated, same on TikTok. CyberKong's Genesis floor at 210 ETH. Now this was back in the day and actually held a CyberKong's while it went to the heights that it did, but I was too stupid to sell it, to be totally honest. We eventually did, but wow, what an insane market it was way back in the day. But anyway, highest NFT floor in history, accumulation phase for those who understand gaming primitive. So interesting that these AI agents are giving their different thoughts on things that were, I mean, they're still around, but it was crazy what it was back in the day. And I noticed this on my timeline. One of the Series 1 Ja Morants from NBA Top Shot out of 1,000 going for $200 on Floaty. So I thought, hey, let's go down and check out the NBA Top Shot marketplace. So Joe Ingles, the lowest priced moment amongst others on here. Kind of crazy that the first edition moments on here, we thought there was no way these things would stay cheap at all. And to look at these and say, hey, you know, like the first edition is out of 3,000 and they're going for $2 is sort of insane. And then we can maybe go into the comparison game of say, well, all right, for any big brand, think of their first edition moments of anything. And we'll have to use, generally speaking, trading card games to look at that. But I mean, for like Chaotic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, I mean, VFriends, the list can go on and on for those first editions. Usually it's valued at something. And with this, you actually know how many there are of a single moment where those cards could produce or could have produced at some point X amount that we don't even know. Maybe there's a storage locker somewhere with a billion of those various cards. But crazy, crazy, crazy to think these are still going for just $2. So a while back, I talked a little bit about the Lotus protocol. There was a part of Gearin Labs, which is now like Gearin Wallet, and then I guess Doppler Finance. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's still associated with the same Gearin team, but they decided to go to a rebrand calling it Lotus Protocol. So let's see what it's all about.
Imagine if your XRP could earn yield. Imagine harnessing both XRPL and the Root network, bringing users from across ecosystems under one united DeFi experience. Imagine if XRP-Fi wasn't just a dream, but a thriving reality. For months, we've been working to bring this vision to life, offering simple, secure ways to grow your XRP. We set out as Lotus Protocol, pushing boundaries on what a DeFi protocol for XRP and Root could be. Now we're stepping into a new chapter. Meet Doppler Finance, a fresh identity, the same unwavering mission. Transform idle XRP into an active asset.
All right, I don't know if I like the voiceover with like the soundtrack. It felt like the voiceover was quieter than the soundtrack. Listen, whoever's doing the sound engineer, hit me up. We can talk about it. But yeah, so people are questioning about like what the rebrand was for. Again, if you want to hear from the Gearin Wallet team that's also associated with this now Doppler Finance, if you go on the YouTube channel or on my X feed, if you just scroll like 3 videos back on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. I would love for you guys to check that out because they are also the recipients of the Japan Korea XRPL ecosystem dev fund. I think that's the right terminology. But again, one of the big players coming into the space and also utilizing Root Network. So very interested in that. Okay, earlier today, listen, we're just cranking out videos. We got like another 2 that I have to edit. And then I think I still have to schedule interviews with like 3 different people that were like, yeah, we're going to get to it eventually. And we've not gotten to it, but we're going to. So today we talked with Jeff McDonald from Auto Blockchain. Now, this is something that's a little bit more tricky to get into, but I'm like, damn, this thing run the Ripple Innovation Award. It is sounding like one of the craziest things in terms of potential impact with enterprise grade everything, world class, custom, just all this crazy stuff, everything that you'd want to see. It has that. The opening question I have for him in this is talking about why the hell Ripple custody even matters. So I'm going to play this. We'll go over that first clip, but I would love for you guys to either check out the video on my YouTube page or again on my X. But let's get into the first question here with Jeff. Talk to a few people when I'm pitching Auto and saying, guys, I think that there's something here, especially with the Ripple custody announcement about how you guys are the first ones that are integrated with it. But the response that I've gotten twice now, and I thought was a little strange, is they didn't think that the Ripple custody component was that big of a deal. Just, I'm not sure if they're not familiar with custody or just didn't really think that was important at all. So if somebody says to you, well, Ripple custody, yeah, that's not being important or associated with that, what would be your response?
Yeah, so Ripple custody allows all the assets. So most assets get stolen off exchanges when someone like discloses their personal information. They don't get stolen off exchanges by hackers because they can't, because they use a protocol-driven custody solution, not smart contracts that are exposed to every single runtime upgrade of the chain, right? All the bridges have been exploited. Bridges are really an insecure way to hold a huge amount of money cross-chain. And so what Ripple custody does is it gives us that protocol, but what Auto does is it integrates it into so that you've got your own keys. You don't end up in that situation of not your keys, not your coin. The big benefit of the partnership with Ripple, so that their tech's good, and Medico developed that tech, but the big part of it is all their products are built into the Ripple custody, and because all their products are built into it, It enables us to, without going outside of your custody, without going and interacting with third-party providers and their code and their risks. We have the Ripple team providing products like staking for multi-chain staking, like payment, and that's a really big one. So the staking and the payment services that Ripple's really built an amazing product around are all accessed from within the custody solution, which makes Otto in a really advantageous position. A normal individual, you and me, could never afford to have our assets looked after in custody.
That's okay. So that's a great break. So again, if you want to check out the full interview, I think it's super enlightening, super cool. Would love for you to check that out. And again, huge thank you for Jeff for taking the time. Okay, so we talk a little bit about the changes within gaming earlier within this. We always try to have a closed loop on the theme of the show, and there, as we mentioned yesterday, with the FaZe Clan winning the Call of Duty minor championship thing that they had. Again, it was minor, it wasn't like the full championship, but they built a graphic. So the official FaZe Clan built this graphic of the characters, and in the background on this newspaper, they had the MLG coin, right? So just basically what this is right in the background. So it was like a promotion of the coin in a way, right? And so Activision apparently banned people that have that clan tag or the ability to use that clan tag within the game. Now, this is somewhat of a gray area because we can probably all agree there's certain things you shouldn't have as a tag, or if it's discriminatory, yada 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 yada. But that one's it's talking about a crypto coin. It's that I don't think there's anything necessarily negative to it, but Activision's like, oh, we don't want to promote anybody getting into crypto per se. And it's interesting that a game is deciding that from that perspective. Food for thought. Now let's continue that a little bit. With TikTok possibly shutting down, I'm encouraging my girlfriend to explore Web3 social media platforms, says G Money. She just posted her first rodeo. I collected and shared it in the link below. And then Shamdu quote tweeted that saying, TikTok shut down into forced onboarding of retail to Web3. The most entertaining outcome is the most likely. So again, all these things, if it can get shut down, if things stop, these things are happening where you're kind of forced to look at these different decentralized nature. Just saying. Okay, so CZ, listen, this guy's coming out and he's just talking wildly bullish. What are we doing here? Have you ever, CZ was the former founder of Binance, CEO, all that kind of jazz. But he's on the timeline saying, have you ever thought to yourself, I wish I had bought Bitcoin early, bought the dip, held, learned about crypto early, ignored FUD, but when the opportunity presents itself again, will you act? Today is earlier than all the days to come, not financial advice. So we got CZ out on the timeline, bull posting about crypto. Do with that what you will. But somebody in Altcoin Daily found a clip back from 2019 when somebody was ridiculed for bringing up potentially buying Bitcoin at $5,000.
Actually think it's undervalued by that extent?
We think the best approach for most people is just to put 1% or 2%.
Are you saying that? I get that if you're somebody who's got a lot of assets. I still think it's crazy, but for a retail investor, somebody who's saving for retirement and putting that aside, that seems crazy to me.
Well, it's basically the idea that you can afford to lose 1% if that's 1% of your portfolio.
That's crazy. You might as well throw it away on high fees to an investor, to an average you're taking a flyer on that. You don't know where it's going to go or what's going to happen.
See, this is why you have to have your own conviction. Take everything with a grain of salt. Look, that would have been the best call ever to get into that back then. Would it not have? And obviously, time's a healer of all, but crazy to look back at that time that was. So, Sid Sixero, former Toronto sports station host, I had to triple check this was real. It is. The Australian Open on YouTube, due to rights issues, they're getting around them by placing real players with Nintendo Wii Sports Tennis. So, they have these characters, and they're literally just making them as Wii characters to broadcast the game. Is what's going on in 2025? What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, so this article came out yesterday. 14 hours ago, so it was actually today. Excuse me. But it was about the Sonium. You guys remember Sonium? Why has it not been talked about at all? So final thing we're going to wrap up here is just going through this article right quickly because I have no idea what's going on. Sony announces Web3 content strategy utilizing Sonium, which is their blockchain. Sony, the Japanese electronics and entertainment giant, has announced the launch of a comprehensive Web3 content strategy utilizing Sonium, its in-house developed Ethereum Layer 2 platform. Sony, the multi-billion media and electronics company, is finally embracing blockchain in its distribution apparatus. With the recent launch of Sonium and Ethereum L2 platform, the company announced a strategy that seeks to test the value of these platforms to provide new value to fans and content creators. Hello. Sonium, which is recently launched on mainnet, is a platform tailored specifically to ease the entrance of content creators to the blockchain world and pair them with their fans to foster engagement through decentralized, non-managed platforms. So this is kind of interesting that they're focusing on like content creators out there, and I still think that it's like a big deal to be like content creating for anything, but I also feel like when you go on X right now, I personally prefer like content creators that are focused on like a specific ecosystem, because then I can be like, oh, okay, like this person's talking about this. Because when you're kind of involved in everything, like it's good to a point. Like obviously the show kind of divulges a lot, but like I think it's painfully evident when somebody's in a certain ecosystem and I talk about it, and you're like, all right, so like, I mean, it was like kind of an okay take, but like you're not fully aware, right? So I really like the people that are really focused on a specific niche. But again, for these mega content creators out there that aren't caring about, you know, a certain blockchain or whatever, they just do stuff in general and have a bunch of fans, this is going to be very, very interesting. Sonium was introduced in August, launching its testnet phases soon after. Also onboarded USDC, the second largest stablecoin in the crypto market, in September. As part of this rollout, S-Blocks Inc., owned by Sony subsidiary, will release X-Blocks, a new exchange that will be used to bridge for users to acquire crypto to interact with apps on top of Sonium. Okay, so this is, listen, we got more exchanges, we got more stuff people have to figure out. What are we doing? Why is the tech not hidden? SNFT, another company backed by the Sony Group, will develop a marketing platform to support the experiences that Sony will develop. These include non-fungible tokens and digital content. Sony Pictures Entertainment Japan will provide limited channels of eligible works for Japanese customers, offering free access to exclusive content for those who purchase eligible titles on Prime Video. Also, Sony Music Entertainment France will distribute NFTs to the Sunny Bee 1991 community, rewarding its users for their support and ownership of other NFTs. Finally, Sony Music Publishing Japan will use Web3 tech for live event featuring the Sandal Telephone J-pop girl band. Users will be able to receive limited edition NFTs for the occasion. So after reading all of this, you're like, all right, so this is like more for like the Japan content creators and everyone over there versus kind of the world, or at least it seems that way. And yo, Ben, happy New Year. How we doing? Good to see you. You're not late, you're early. Insert the Lord of the Rings. A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. In this case, it's Ben. But anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of XFeed. I appreciate you guys tuning on in and Ben popping through on this chat. Sorry, you're just getting here and I'm heading on off. But we do the daily live streams for anybody that is joining a little bit late or happen to be following on X and just seeing this on your timeline. Thanks so much for clicking on it, first of all. But once again, if you are wanting to catch out all the different interviews that we'll be doing on Root Network, Featureverse, ton of that stuff. We still have an entire year plus of content if you're wanting to relive some of the crazy happenings of 2024. If you go check out the live feed on YouTube and, of course, the RWA Segments podcast. Having some crazy awesome guests over the last little bit. We released an episode this morning that was talking with somebody who is building on Abstract and around Pudgy Penguin's IP to an extent. Called Culinary Crypto, and somebody who's been in the culinary industry for 20 years, catering a whole bunch of stuff. They catered Ape Fest. They did specific dinners for Pudgy Penguins and really kind of found his own home within Web3. And it was a really, really cool story. And I just love that that's continuing to happen within this Web3 realm. And I hope you guys have a phenomenal rest of your week. We'll be back tomorrow as per usual. And, Ben, I appreciate you checking out the VOD. But anyway, guys, have yourself a good one, and we'll talk soon. Peace, peace.